Hello everybody and welcome to the channel, Out of Ammo, Out of Time. I'm your host, as always, Krabby Terror 8. And here we are in episode 12, I think it is, of the Investigator games Season 1 of Eldritch Horror, or Eldritch Horror Edition, with everybody's favourite librarian, Daisy Walker. Yes, now for those of you who are new to the channel, I heartily welcome you. For those of you who are coming back to watch, I also welcome you and thank you for your ongoing interest in my channel. So what is the Investigator games? Well, it's a simple idea really that I came up with, which is what about taking every investigator through a scenario, or in this case, with a particular elder god, and putting them all into a league table based on their performance, like this one. Yes, and we can see that they're ordered here from top to bottom based on their performance, how quickly they do it, how many doom is left, that kind of thing. Yeah, we will see how they go, and we'll rank every single investigator. And in Eldritch Horror, there are a ton of them from top to bottom. So a couple of things about that. This is not about winning the game. Playing this game solo is really hard, I've discovered. But that's not the point. The point is it's about taking these poor hapless investigators solo, see how they go, and then rank them. So it's about their relative performance. I'm also not trying to play perfectly. That's just not possible. Nobody plays perfectly. So it's not about that either. It's just a bit of fun, really, and seeing how they all play out when they're thrown in by themselves. I'm also doing this for Elder Sign Omens on Steam, and I've done this for Arkham Horror, the card game, as well, taking the hapless investigators through the Gathering and now the Midnight Mask. So I have a lot of fun doing it. I hope you enjoy these as well. So here we are with Daisy Walker, the librarian, as I said. So let's just have a look at her stats here. And spoilers, if you are brand new to Eldritch Horror, I would encourage you to play it in real life first. I'm assuming the people watching this know a little bit about it at least. So there we go. So Daisy Walker is a librarian. If we look at her stat line, we can see, not surprisingly, that she's very strong on law with a 4. Her influence and her will are not too bad either, which is good for getting extra items, and as we will see, getting tomes is actually something that's very helpful for her. Where she's weakest is observation and indeed strength. So she's not a fighter, and we can see that with her physiological index of only 5, but she has a psychological index of 7, so definitely mentally stronger than she is physically. So really we'll be relying more on spells if we're going to defeat monsters and enemies. And we really want to avoid anything that's a strength test if possible. Now, Daisy special action is if you are on a city space, you can test observation, which at the moment is only 2, which might be worthwhile boosting that, because if you pass, you gain a tome asset from the reserve, or 1 random tome asset from the deck. So that's very nice to be able to do that. The only problem is this observation is lowish, but still a reasonable chance of getting a 5 or a 6. And we could also look to boost that as well. And also, when you perform a rest action, you may perform 1 additional action on a ritual or tome possession you have, which is also really, really helpful as well. So it makes sense to have lots of tomes and ritual spells in your kit bag, if you like, because you can essentially get an extra action when you perform a rest action. So that is very, very handy. I know of books so powerful they can rewrite reality. What about games, hey? All right, let's flip Daisy over. I'm going to ignore the right-hand side because if she dies, then it's the end of the game anyway. She's only solo, so we don't need to worry about that. She starts in Istanbul, in Turkey. She starts with the old journal unique asset. 1 old journal unique asset. There are a few of them. And an arcane insight spell, and we'll look at those in a second. So this is her backstory. Daisy worked in the library of the Miskatonic University, overseen by the noted scholar Henry Armitage. She quickly became an expert on the school's collection of strange and occult texts, mastering the obscure subject matter and archaic languages. Through her studies, she came to believe that humanity was facing an impending threat. Armitage believes in her conclusions and has sent her to Istanbul to continue her investigation. It is their hope to discover some means of rescuing humanity from this inevitable doom. There we go. So, yeah, that's why she's in Istanbul. There we go. So that's Daisy Walker in a nutshell. Got the right physiological, mental strength there. So let's just have a look here. We're in turn 1. Let's just have a look here. So she got this old journal unique asset, which again is a test observation. It's come up again. If you pass, you discover information that may prove useful to your cause. Flip this card. So, yeah. So we can do that. We can test that. So that's a item and tome. So I'm assuming if we do a rest action, we can actually do that as a sort of an extra action. So that's not bad. It's kind of like we've sat down and we've rested to do some research. We also start with the Arcane Insight spell. And that says choose yourself or another investigator on any space. Test law -2. Roll 1 additional dice for each tome possession you have, and in this case we have 1. If you pass, that investigator gains a clue. Then flip this card. So actually having more, this is great because it means we have a way of getting clues without having to scramble for them, which is fantastic. That's very, very helpful because that's really action compression, and this game solo really does, you do benefit from action compression. And it also means the more tomes we have, the better off we're going to be. So it would make sense to try and get some more tomes as much as we can. So there we go. There's our 2 abilities. So yes, very as we would expect from Daisy, as we know for those of you who play Arkham Horror, the card game, Daisy very much benefits from tomes, Old Book of Law being one of them, and various tomes, and this is no exception. So the only thing I've done so far is I've got our 16 Mythos cards here, but we'll just go round the houses now, and we'll shuffle these up. Let's shuffle up the assets and put them out. I hope we get at least 1 tome on here. Oh, some of these I haven't seen before. Interesting. Okay, so what do we get here? We got the Curiosity Shop. When you gain this card, immediately gain 1 artifact. Then discard this card. It doesn't say which artifact, so I'm assuming you can choose one, which can be helpful because there is a mystery where you need an artifact, so that's very helpful. Enchanted Bow is a magical weapon. You get +3 during combat encounters. A monster of your choice on your space loses 1 health. That's also a nice card. Map of the Ley Lines. Now this is a tome, so hello, ding, 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 ding. Gain +1 lore, +1 will. Very nice. Once per round, you may reroll 1 die when resolving a test in an otherworld encounter. Very nice. Might be worthwhile going into debt for that one. And Bandages, which is just an item. You may discard this card to prevent an investigator on your space from losing up to 2 health. So there we go. So it would be very nice to get this if we can. So that's the assets. Let's just keep going around. There's the artifacts. Asia, Europe, America, sort of general. Now expedition, I'm just going to do this 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are starting in, that looks like Sydney. I recognise that harbour bridge, so we're in Sydney, Australia. There we go. So the expedition is Sydney, Australia, which is I guess it's not a million miles away, but it is a little bit of away, isn't it? Okay. Oh, that's no good. Let's keep going around the houses. Yeah, I'll shuffle these up. Otherworld, madness, injury, illness, exposure, boon, bane, deal, restriction, pursuit, and talent. Let's go around. Here we have, that's on the right spot. We're on 15 Doom, just the research cards. Okay, here we have the mystery cards, so let's shuffle them up. And let's pull out the first mystery. Omen of Devastation. The nemesis moon appears in the night sky, visible to all, heralding an imminent doom. When an investigator closes a gate that corresponds to the current omen, he may spend, or she, in this case she may spend a clue to place an Eldritch token on this card. At the end of the Mythos phase, if there are Eldritch tokens on this card equal to 1, solve this mystery. Well, this isn't too bad, actually. This is pretty good. We've just got to close a gate that corresponds to the current omen. So having a blue kind of whatever it is, constellation, is particularly helpful, but we'll see how we go. So that's that. So that's the first one. So I feel reasonably positive that we can deal with that. Okay, so the next thing to do is to, talking of gates, is to shuffle up the gates and pull out the first one, which is Rome, which is really close. So actually, no, we're not. So that's there. Okay, so we just have to wait a couple of times for it to come around. But Rome's there. Let's do a clue. 1. Is that a 1? Is that number 1? Oh, it's over there. Okay, so the first clue is all the way over there, I think. Yep. Just check. Oops. Yes, there we go. And finally, a monster to go with the gate. So the monster is a ghast. I'm aghast. He's aghast. Did you know that? He's totally aghast. Yep, that joke right there. When this monster is spawned, an investigator on this space immediately encounters this. It just spawns there, doesn't it? Well, luckily that's not us. So there we go. There we go. So that's all of that. Yes, I think that's everything now. Okay, so I think we are ready to go. Daisy's here in Istanbul. The expedition is over in Sydney. We're here with the omen is where it should be. So I think we are ready to roll in the investigation phase. So bell goes. That goes wild. There we go. We are in Istanbul. So what do we do? What are we going to do, Daisy? Well, I think the first thing is, let's just have a think about this. So to solve the first mystery, we need to close a gate that corresponds to the current omen track. So we can't do that at the moment. It's just not possible. So I think the thing is to get ourselves set up for it, either by waiting and then just popping over to Rome, which would happen when the omen track moves a couple of places to the around, or maybe a blue one pops up somewhere nearby. Now Istanbul, just looking at this, improve influence. Where's observation? Oh, that is. That's over in San Francisco, so that's a bit away. The feeling is that we're fairly central here. I can't see any massive reason to go rushing around the board at the moment. You know, we're fairly central to everything. So what I might do is I might stick here and see if we can get some extra things. So first of all, it says action. If you're on a city space, if you pass, observation, if you pass, gain a tome asset from the reserve or a random tome asset from the deck. Now at the moment, that would be an observation of 2. And this requires 4. And our influence is 3. So I'm just going to think about this, because we've got 2 choices here. To get the map of the ley lines, we could test observation with 2 dice. We've also got this old journal here. Test observation. If you pass, discover information. Wow, there's so many things we could do. I feel like we should try and get this ley line, because that provides us with... so either we throw 3 dice, but we're not going to get the 4. So then we would need to get at least, because I think the debts are 2, aren't they? Sorry, it's just been a couple of months since I last played. I think it's 2, yeah. So we would have to add 2. So we would need to get... No, you see, that's not great. We'd roll 3. We would need to get 2 results, then to add 2 to get the map of the ley lines. However, if we use our action here, we can test 2, and if we pass, we can just gain the time asset from the reserve, which seems like a much better idea. Just had to do the maths in my head there. So let's take the 2 dice. So if we get a 5 or a 6, we can take this. Here we go. We'll shuffle it up, and no, we don't. So that didn't work. Oh well. Second action, I'm going to try this. I'm going to test observation. Any of you pass, discover some useful information. Let's try that. And we also fail that as well. So that's our 2 actions. Complete failure. Looking for tomes is clearly more challenging than we thought. But anyway, that's all right. We can try again next time. So that's the end of our turn. Then we go into a encounter phase. So let's do an encounter on Istanbul, which will be Europe. Okay, so let's flip that over. Have a look at Istanbul. Inside the loud hustle and bustle of the Grand Bazaar, you negotiate to find a skilled instructor to tutor you. Influence -1. Okay, influence -1, so that's a 2. Again, this seems to be a recurring theme. Let's shuffle it up. Come on, give me a 5 or a 6 this time. Yes, we got a 5. When I saw the 1 hit the deck, I thought, no. So, if you pass, improve a skill of your choice. Great, well, that's an obvious thing to improve. We're going to improve observation, because that actually really helps if we do. So we now have an observation of 3. And what happens if we'd failed? If you fail, the instructor teaches you nothing and gain a depth condition. Oh dear, okay. Well, that was good. That was actually super helpful. Great, okay. So we are now a 3 on observation, which should really help us with our observation skills. Okay, so that's the end of the encounter phase, which means, here we go, everybody's favourite phase, the mythos phase, where things can go horribly and seriously wrong. Let's see what we get. And our first mythos is, well, this is not a red tentacle, it's green. So we move the doom track around to blue. There's no blues on the table at the moment. Now there's a monster surge on blue. Resolve monster surge containing it or spawn a gate. Yes, I thought so. That's always the one. So there isn't. So we spawn a gate. And it's green. That's not what we wanted, but anyway. With a monster. What's this? Serpent people. Move it to the Amazon. Okay. Serpent people in the Amazon. And what was the reckoning? Roll 1 die and a 1 or 2 news. Okay. All right. Okay. So that's that, and then we're clue. Number 8. Where's number 8? Oh, it's there. Very South American focused. It's a 7. Must be an 8 there. Is that the 8 there? check. Whoop. Yes. Cool. Oops. That familiar voice was the worst of all sacrileges. You had seen too much evil and too much magic. It was inevitable that death would not be a mercy for your friends, ones left behind. Each investigator with at least one eye asset discards one eye asset and discards what and gains a human condition, haunted condition. Well, we don't have any allies, so that's great. That's a free pass. It's like, whatever. Okay, so that's the end of the mythos phase. So then we're in turn 2. So let's just have a quick look at the board as it currently stands. So we now have, there are now 2 gates on the board, one in Rome and one in Tokyo. Unfortunately, the one in Tokyo is green, and green's not going to come around for a while. So what we need is the Omen track to move around to the red sun, or red whatever, and then we can move into Rome and hopefully deal with that. However, there is this this ghast there. I don't know how tough the ghast is. Yeah. So that's a bit of a problem, is how we're going to deal with the ghast, because we need to get through the ghast if we're going to close the gate. So that's something probably why we need some more tomes at the very least. And we're fighting a 1. That's going to make it quite hard. Okay. All right, so there we go. Let's move forward into the investigation phase. So last time we were trying to get hold of this ley line, and we now have a better chance of doing that. So I think that's what we'll do. We will go ahead and I wonder if the enchanted bow +3, that would be very handsome. That would be nice to get as well, actually, because if we have the enchanted bow, we can actually deal with the ghast, but let's not worry about that now. I think we're going to need something like that, I think. But let's first of all, let's try and get this map of the ley lines. So again, action, if you're on a city space, yes, test observation, which is now 3, you gain, if you pass, gain a tome asset. So now we get 3. What else does this ley lines do? Oh, and another world encounter. Okay. Shuffle them up. Fail again. All right, let's try this one. Test 3, if you pass, discover something useful. We get a 1. Okay, let's flip the card. You find a coded message scrawled in the margins. Okay. As you decipher the code, you learn of a prophesied future. Advance the active mystery by 1, and then discard this card. Okay, so we discard the tome. I think it was here, wasn't it? Wasn't it? No, it's probably here. Was it a unique asset? It was. So yeah, we'll put it here. So that means we can advance this by 1, which means we can put an Eldritch token on here. So that is really fantastic, because that basically means we don't have to close the gate as long as we can get through. So we lost our tome, but at the same time, it looks like we can get through this mystery really fast. So that's an awesome, awesome outcome from that perspective. So that's our 2 actions. So our third action. I wish they play a lot of Arkham Horror, the card game, where you get 3 actions. So we will now do an encounter, and we are still here in Istanbul. So let's do another encounter in Istanbul. Here we go. You struggle to find the nerve to escape the sons of the hands that feed. Will -1. If you pass, you free yourself and another prisoner and gain a random ally asset and improve. Wow, if you fail. Okay. So, I wish I had a clue now, but anyway. So it's 2. Let's roll them up. Come on, 5 or a 6. Yes, we get a 5. Oh my goodness, that was close. That's 2 5s we've gotten. So you struggle to find the nerve to escape the sons of the hands that feed. If you pass, you free yourself and another prisoner. Wow, Daisy is really a woman of action here. Gain a random ally asset from the deck and improve your influence. Wow. So let's improve our influence. This is incredible. So we now have 4 influence. That's really good because I think we can probably get this enchanted bow, which would be really helpful for combat encounters. So if we could get this and the enchanted bow, I think we'll be in a good spot. And we get a random ally asset, was it? Get a random ally asset. Okay. Well, let's just... till we get an ally. Is that an ally? Doesn't look like it. No, that's a tome, actually. No. Private car. Okay. No. Oh, there's lots of tomes, which we need. Gun. No. Service. Cat burglar. Ally. There we go. It's only a 1. It's not the best one, but anyway, it's better than a kick in the pants. So what does the cat burglar give us? Roll a die. On a 5 or a 6, gain 1 item or trinket asset from the reserve. Oh, okay. Wow, that's all right. Are there any? That's an item. That's a tome. That's an item. Any item, is it? Yeah. And that's a service. So we could get the enchant. Wow, okay. I'm liking that. Got a cat burglar to nick things for us. Okay, well, that was a pretty good outcome. Again, Istanbul proving to be a very fruitful place for us. There we go. So we will move into the mythos phase. Now, if we manage to survive this mythos, we will get the first mystery, which has to be a bit of a record, I think, in terms of speed. Okay, this one is gold. There's no red tentacles. So we move this around to red, which means that the omen track goes down by 1. There we go. Reckonings. Where are the reckonings? Are we hearing the reckonings? Reckonings, reckonings, reckonings. There was a reckoning here for the serpent people. What's a reckoning say? Roll a die. On a 1 or a 2, the nearest investigator moves 1 space towards this monster. Yes, we do. So we move 1 space towards... That could be any of those, couldn't it? Really? I don't want to go there, so I'm just going to hit the pyramids. Because it's not really in the position to be taking on a ghast. Alright. And then a gate. And the gate is San Francisco. If you're going to San Francisco. Another green one. That means the Doom is going to advance by 3 when it gets there, unless I get rid of some of these green gates with a Shan. Oh, what's a Shan do? If you lose sanity from the test, advance Doom by 1, unless you spend a clue. Discard the nearest clue. Okay. Alright, so there's a Shan on there. Okay. Frostbite stings your ears and nose as you stagger through the cold at the pyramids. Desperate to find any sort of shelter, the bitter cold has crept into your coat and gloves, chilling you to the bone. Each investigator loses 1 health and 1 sanity and gains a hypothermia condition. It's a weird place to get hypothermia, that's for sure. Here we go, exposure. Hypothermia. Okay, so we gained a hypothermia condition. That's it. Okay. When you perform a rest action, you cannot recover health. Roll a die on a 4, 5, or 6. Discard this card. Okay, that's fine. All right. I think that's all. So that means we've come to the end of the round, and if I'm not much mistaken, at the end of the Mythos phase, if there are Eldritch tokens on this, solve this mystery. And indeed there are. So we've solved the first mystery, and the crowd goes wild. And we get the voice of Azathoth. Most musicians describe this 18th century Italian opera as unplayable. It comes as no surprise that the composer was executed for heresy. When an investigator would gain an artifact, he may gain the Massa di Requiem de Shoge artifact. At the end of the Mythos phase, an investigator may spend clues equal to 1 to discard this and solve this mystery. Well, actually, that's something we can do relatively okay as well, I believe, if we can get the Curiosity Shop, because I think if we get the Curiosity Shop, we can gain an artifact. So there we go. This is actually not too bad. So fantastic. So that was the end of turn 2. Let's just review the board. So we are at the pyramids. There are now 3 gates out: Tokyo, Rome, and San Francisco. It would be great to close the odd one, but my main concern is that when we move around to the green, or Tokyo, San Francisco, and the Eldritch token will mean that the doom will go down by 3. So we've got a choice here. We could try, and we're a bit far from Tokyo, and San Francisco is quite a way away as well. So that's the problem in solo, is actually getting to places can be quite a challenge at the best of times. The good news is we can actually solve this second mystery relatively quickly and relatively easily without needing to do anything. So I think speed is of the essence, to be honest, because the longer we take to do things, the more we get bogged down and stuff. So whilst we could attempt to go and close a gate in Tokyo or San Francisco or even Rome, which is unlikely given that we can't fight, I think the best thing for us to do is to try and get hold of the Curiosity Shop and get the artifact as quickly as possible. And at the same time, if we can get ourselves a tome asset as well, I think we'll be doing pretty good. Okay, so we're in turn... that was the end of turn 2, so we move into turn 3. So what do we do? I think the first thing is we rest. Let's try and get rid of this hypothermia. So if we do a rest action, then you can't recover health, but we can recover sanity. And we can roll a dice, and on a 4, 5, or 6, we can discard our hypothermia. And we get a 6, so we discard the hypothermia. Nice. Now also, when you perform a rest action, so this is what I like about Daisy, her action compression is actually quite good. When you perform a rest action, you may perform an additional action on a ritual or tome possession that you have. This is a ritual. Choose yourself another investigator. Test law -2. We don't have any other tomes. If you pass, gain a clue. So we can do this. Let's give it a go. If we pass, we get a clue. It's worth trying. It's a free... And we don't. Okay, so we don't get a clue. Never mind. Okay, so that was just our rest action. For our second action, we can do 2 things. We've got 2 choices here. Well, actually, no, we've got 3 choices. So we could use our special action. We could test 3 and get the map of the ley lines. We could use our influence of 4 to try and get the Curiosity Shop, perhaps take a deck condition. Or we can use the Cat Burglar On a 5 or a 6, get an item or a trinket asset from the reserve. I think we really want to solve this next mystery. So I think the thing is to go for that. So that's basically a 4. So let's get our 4. Whoops. Nope. Let's roll them up. And we get nothing. Okay. Never mind. We tried. God knows we tried. So that was all a bit disappointing. Okay. So we move into an encounter phase. We are at the pyramids. Actually, I just realized we shouldn't have done that because we are not in a city location. We shouldn't have done that anyway. We would have not done that. We would have done this and we would have failed. So yeah, I just realized that's my bad. I've done it before. So we really do need to move back to a city location if we're going to get the curiosity shop, which we'll do next time. So I do apologise for that. I just realised, but we failed anyway, and so it may have been possible that I would have moved back to something like Istanbul. Let's just say I would have used cat burglar. So anyway, we will leave it at that. That was a mistake on my part. Okay, let's move into the let's just do a general encounter. We are in a wilderness location, are we? Yes. You find a mass grave and hear the voices of the dead in your head. Willpower. If you pass, they share what they know, so that you might avoid similar fate again. Yep. Whoa! 666. Wow. Gain a talent condition. Okay, so let's gain ourselves a talent condition. Talents up here. Talents. Let's take this one. What's this? Talent condition. Martial prowess, hey? Well, we've become... when resolving a combat encounter, you may gain +3 fight during that encounter, but if you do, flip this card before resolving the test. Wow, okay. That's quite a thing to get. Fantastic. Okay, so that's the end of that one. Okay, let's move into the mythos phase. Let's flip this over, and it's blue. Let's put it over here. So first of all, that moves round by 1. Are there any blues on here? No, 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 no. We move 1 space towards the serpent people. Is that a... No. Okay, we'll move to here. Are there any other reckonings? There are. The Shan. Discard the nearest clue. Okay. Thanks, Shan. Into the trash. Okay, any other reckonings? I think that's all. Okay, and we draw another gate. And we get Antarctica with a Gug. A Gug in Antarctica. Okay, cool. All right. Let's read this one. Another cold one. Cold snap. Frostbite stings. Huh? Oh no, what am I doing? If this vision is true, you have confronted the Dark Pharaoh many times over the course of many lives. Each incarnation has been preparing you for this final battle. Vision of past lives. The lead investigator can test willpower. Then he improves a number of skills equal to his test result. Okay. All right. Well, we'll test willpower of 3. Can we get 666 again? That would be good, wouldn't it? Oh, we get 2 5s. Improves a number of skills equal to this test result. Wow. Wow. Well, I think it makes sense that we improve our observation again. And I think we should improve our influence again. I think I'm going to lean into that. So now we're a 4 and a 5. Wow, that's not what I expected. That was brilliant. Okay, whilst we could improve our strength, quite frankly, that's not going to solve us any mysteries at the moment. But these will definitely make a difference. Okay, so that's the end of turn 3. Let's have a look at where we're at. So the board is filling up with gates all over the damn place. We've now got Tokyo, San Francisco, Rome, and Antarctica have all got gates on them. We're not close to any of those except for Rome. Now we do have an ability that we could fight that ghast now, so we could move into Rome and close that gate. Apart from that, there's not much else on the board at the moment, including not many clues. Is there one other clue somewhere? Yes, here. So I think the main thing we do here is we need to get ourselves to a city location so we can get this damned artifact. So that's going to be our focus this time. So let's move into turn 4. First action is to get ourselves to a city. That's the closest. I want to go to Rome. Oh, I could actually. Wait. You're all screaming at me. Let's have a look at this. When resolving a combat encounter, you may gain +3. So that would give us 4. And what's the ghast? The ghast is only a 2. No, it'd be a 3. So we would have +4. It would be 3 versus 2. So we probably wouldn't kill it the first time. So it really is a choice of, do we go to Rome, do we get our thing there, and do we take on this ghast? Or do we go down to here? Is it worth trying to close this gate? Is it worth trying to take on this ghast? Because this gate isn't going to flip for a long time. For at least 3 or 4 turns, probably 5. So it feels like this isn't on a city location. So I don't know. I don't know whether we're just better off avoiding it for now and just focusing on getting the curiosity shop. The problem is if we're over here, we're really a long way away from everything. So I'm actually thinking it might be a better idea to do that. So I'm going to move to Rome. That's our first action. Second action, we're going to do the influence. So now we get 5. So we are going to see if we can get something from the reserve, because I want to get this curiosity shop. Let's roll them up. So we get 2. So we can take a debt condition. So that gives us 4. So we can get the curiosity shop, which means that we can, as soon as we get the curiosity shop, you can gain an artifact. So we can gain the Shugei artifact. There it is. We got that. Now, what does this give us? Action, test -1. If you passed, you may spend 1 sanity to discard 1 monster on a space of your choice containing a gate. Wow. That would have been handy to have. That's all right. Okay, so we can. That gives us an option to do that as well. But I don't think we're going to keep it that long, because I think as soon as we get the Masai du Shugei, We need clues. Okay, so we don't have clues. So the thing we're missing is a clue, which we can gain a clue because we've got the arcane insight, but we don't have a clue at the moment. So there's a few things we need to do, a few moving parts, but at least we're moving in the right direction. So that's our 2 actions. So we moved up to Rome, and then we checked out the reserve. What do we get now? Wow, we get a weapon. Okay. So that's our 2 actions. So now we have an encounter. We have an encounter with the Ghast, first of all. So the first thing we do is a willpower -1, so that's 2. Let's do that. Roll it up. And we get a 1, so we take horror. No, we don't. We don't take a horror. So we're fine. And then we do the fight. So the fight here says, when resolving a combat encounter, you may gain +3, yes. If you do, flip this card before resolving the test. So we are 4, but then it's a fight -1, so we get 3. It says flip the card before resolving the test. Does that mean we... Oh, I see. Okay, so let's go ahead. Roll it up. We get nothing. Boy. 0. Old wounds open, causing you a great deal of pain. Gain 1 injury condition unless you discard this card. I think we discard the card because now we've got the Shugay. We can probably use that as well. However, that does mean that we take 2 damage. Ouch, that is bad. Okay, that didn't go very well. It was a mistake. Anyway. Okay, so let's move into the Mythos phase. And here we go. This moves around to here. So the Doom goes down by 3. 1, 2, 3. It's now Reckoning. So the nearest clue goes. That's the first thing that happens. We move 1 space. Oh boy. We move 1 space away from Rome. Oh, well, we don't have to fight the Ghast again anyway. Thanks to the serpent people. Oh no. On a 1 or a 2 we move. Okay. Hello? It was weird. Oh well, nothing. Okay, so we don't move. What else? So that was that Reckoning. That was that Reckoning by the Shan. I don't. Oh yes, there's this Reckoning here. Flip the card. Part of your essence that was the deal and failure to live up to your end of the bargain will cost you in the world. Resolve the Reckoning effect for each Rumour Mythos card in play. There aren't any. Wow, we really got off lightly there. Okay, that was lucky. There are none in play. There we go. And then we spawn another gate. Lots of gates. Yep, this one here is Istanbul with a hunting horror. Okay, lots of... Okay. Okay. Let's read this out now. You are startled by the thump of a crow hitting the ground in front of you. Within a few moments, some unknown catastrophe causes an entire flock of crows to just fall lifeless from the sky. When you look up, there is nothing but cold stars and baleful moon. Impending doom. Advance the doom by 1 for each gate on the game board that corresponds to the current omen. That's 3. If no gates, so that's another 3. Wow. Just went down by another 3. That's bad. Anyway. Okay, that sped things up a bit. So that's the end of turn 4. Let's have a look at how things are looking. So now the Doom track is only on 8. So things have advanced very fast. We've now got gates in Istanbul. We've got a gate in Rome. We are in Rome with the Ghast, San Francisco, Tokyo, and Antarctica. So yes, lots of stuff happening. But we have an opportunity to solve another mystery if only we can get ourselves a clue. So we have 2 actions. It's now turn 5. That's right. Yep, it's turn 5. So we've got 2 actions here. So so the first thing I think we should do is see if we can get... Is this a tome? It is a tome. Fantastic. So I think what we do is choose yourself or another investigator. Okay, test law -2. Roll an additional die for each tome. So we can do 3 dice. Yep. If you pass, gain a clue. Come on, pass. Come on. Yes! 2. Wow. Okay, flip the card. 1 to 2. Knowledge floods your mind, straining your mortal brain. The investigator loses 1 sanity for each clue he has. None. Unless he has a tome. I do. Okay. There we go. And then flip this card. So we get a clue. That's brilliant. So we got ourselves a clue. Which means we just have to survive. All right. So we got the clue. That's the first thing. Now, the second thing we can do is either use this, which is test law -1. If you pass, you may spend a sanity to discard a monster. I'm a bit worried about that, though, because we're down to 2 life. So the other thing is we could rest and perform an additional action on a ritual or tome possession that you have. So that... Because the worst that can happen is that we lose another couple of life. So actually, I feel like that's a pretty good option, to be honest. So I'm going to rest and get an extra life. And then we can do an additional tome action. So I'm going to test 3 and see if we can get rid of this monster. Just need a 5 or a 6. Oh, we don't get it. Oh, boy. Okay. Never mind. Oh dear. Okay. Never mind. We're still okay. We're still in it. Maybe that was a really bad idea. Anyway, so we will move into the encounter phase. So we've got this Ghast again. So first of all, we do will -1. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. There we go. And we succeed, so we're fine there. And then we do 1 for a fight. Oh, I keep doing the wrong... What's up with this? I wish it wouldn't do that. I want it to... There we go. Okay, what do we get? We get a 3, so we fail. So we take 2. Oh dear. Okay. So not good. I think we're going to have to move off this. It was worth a go anyway. Okay, then we do that was our encounter, so we don't get to do another encounter. So we move into the mythos phase, and let's hope this doesn't kill us. So we move this around to blue. Is there a blue? Tokyo and Antarctica. Yep. So that's down to 6. Reckoning. Roll 1 die. On a 1, advance the doom. Nope. The Shan. Discard the nearest clue. Is there a clue on the board anymore? I don't think there is. Serpent people. Roll 1 die on a 1 or a 2. Nope. So that's fine. I think that's everything. Oh, no, there's another one here. Hunting horror. Move this monster to the nearest space containing an investigator. An investigator on that space immediately encounters it. No. I think we're dead. I think we are dead. We're almost certainly dead. All right. First of all, 2 will. Yeah, I think we take 1 horror. 2 horror. And then we do... no, we're dead, whatever. Because we only have 1. No, so we take 2 points and we're dead. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we Daisy went down to a hunting horror, which means we didn't solve the second mystery, which was a real shame. I'm really, really annoyed about that. We were so close. The mistake I made, I shouldn't have gone back to here. I shouldn't have gone back to Rome. I should have probably gone down to here and rested up. That was a big mistake that I made. However, I wasn't imagining the hunting horror, so that was just plain unlucky. We were so very close to getting the second mystery. We had the tome and everything. So it was just unfortunate that old Daisy went down in the 5th turn. She got smacked across the head with a hunting horror. So things were going fairly well for her up until that phase. But we just got, when we really needed some good rolls, things didn't quite work out as we would have hoped. But that's the way it goes in the Investigator games, and with Eldritch Horror, things never go as you would hope. But we did get 1 mystery in, which is better than a number of that didn't. And we were so agonizingly close to getting a second one. That was really, really unfortunate. I just feel really bad for Daisy, if nothing else. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. So next time in Eldritch Horror, we will be, I'll just shuffle this up, we'll be looking at Joe Diamond, the Private Eye. And we will see how he goes in the Investigator Games Eldritch Horror Edition. But until then, I'm Krabby Terror 8. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.